What's the deal, YouTube? It's your girl, Miss Honey. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Welcome back to the channel, you guys. It's your girl, Miss Honey. Happy Saturday. I hope everyone is having a wonderful Saturday. To all of my family, friends, YouTube, and otherwise who are in the Carolinas and Virginia and surrounding states, who are going through this natural disaster with first Hurricane Florence, now Tropical Storm Florence. I hope that everyone you know, and as well as yourself, are safe and sound. I hope it remains so. And know that you guys are in my prayers, and I mean that. And that it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. It's going to be a very long hurricane season. And so we have got to really remember to keep our neighbors, our families, our friends in our prayers, as well as make sure we're giving blood. Make sure we are donating to disaster relief funds. If it's water, if it's old clothing, go through your closet and your kids' closet and get out those old clothes and stuff and start donating them now, you guys, because we are going to have a very tough hurricane season coming up, and we want to make sure that we are not holding on to something else that someone else is going to need. Okay, so down off of that soapbox, I hope everybody is having a good weekend. Of course, you guys already know what this is. It's Saturday, so this is Iyanla, Fix My Life. This is season 6, episode 16, and this episode is about female felons. It's a two-parter. This is the first part, and it was really good. I have been listening to people kind of talk about Iyanla Van Zandt all week because of this whole Tamar and the Braxtons situation that happened on the show with her walking off and then going on to Wendy Williams. I have heard people say some real negative things about Iyanla, but I'm not going to do it. For me, Iyanla adds value to this process. There are some things, I've said this before in my Iyanla videos, that cannot be quantified. A lot of people want to talk about her not having a degree in psychology or psychiatry. Listen, the girl's got a Juris Doctorate, okay? The girl's taking the bar exam, all right? She's written over 20 self-help books. I know in the meantime, books like that were like Bibles. There's like in the meantime Bibles out there that people were carrying to church. Like, I mean, I'm not undercutting this sister's value to this process. And there is something to be said for discernment. I do recognize that a lot of people have a problem with facing the truth. They have a problem with unpacking their stuff. And to me, if you've got a problem with unpacking your stuff, if you got a problem with the truth, or if you got a problem with going a little bit deeper in life, then you probably will have an issue with Iyanla. And I'm not saying that's always the case. I'm just saying, you know, if you got a real issue with people trying to help a person heal or come full circle, it may say a lot more about you than it does about them. Not always the case. I'm just saying it might be something you want to look into. I think this episode about female felons was a very good example of the value that she brings to this. We get a chance to talk to 3 young ladies, all who served time in the same facility, became very close with one another, and now that they're all out, they have remained close. We have Tai, who I think is the youngest of the 3. She's 31. She has 3 children. She was incarcerated, I think, for like 18 years. She got 30 months. I forget. how long she did, but I think she ended up doing like 3. I'm not sure. And she went to jail because she wouldn't snitch on her boyfriend, who was a drug dealer. Come to find out, her mom was an addict, and she grew up in a house that, basically had drugs running in and up and through it. All right. Then you have Brandy, who is, I think, 36, and I think she did 8 years, and she basically went to jail because her boyfriend was a major drug dealer. I can't remember exactly why they locked her up now. Anyway, then we have and Brandy's dad was a drug dealer as well. Okay, so we're just talking about who each of these women were and the pathology, a little bit about the pathology behind how they came to this place. And then we meet Matilda. Matilda is 65. She was sentenced to 30 years, and I think she did 18. Well, the 2 young ladies call her Ma, and she calls them like they're her daughter, and she says that they remind her of her 2 daughters. So each woman gets to sort of tell their story about how they were arrested and the moment they knew Tai was pregnant when she was sentenced, and the judge actually let her go home, have her baby, and when her baby was a month old, she turned herself in. When she got out of prison, her baby was 5. And we've learned that her baby has some issues. It's a 2-parter, like I said, so we may not know. Hopefully we will know a little bit more about the issues that her son has or her baby has when we see part 2. Brandy has 1 child, and she has this idea about drug dealers because her dad was a drug dealer, and so that was sort of romanticized for her. And she was also taught that that lifestyle gave you nice things. You know what I mean? Like, she was kind of addicted to that. Her dad, because of his guilt for what he was doing and how he was doing it, it made her feel like this is the way he was giving them gifts. And so men bearing gifts and having that lifestyle, like, it was just continuing on for her. Like, I'm leaving my dad's house, he taking care of me, and he drug dealing, and I'm moving into this other situation where this person is taking care of me, and you know what I mean. And of course there was a bit of glamour. She's a beautiful girl there. She's got a nice body. I'm sure she felt like she was really popping at the time. And then to be pregnant by the drug dealer, she probably felt like she was, this is something that is really prevalent, I think, in the Black community, is this idea of status based upon materialism. And it's a whole thing about it going back to slavery and that type of thing. But anyway, let's talk about Matilda. Matilda went to jail because her sons were drug dealers, and she took the fall for something that happened with them, and the judge gave her 30 years. And I thought that was odd. I was like, gosh, I don't know. I don't know why I find it hard to believe that a son would let his mom go to prison, or sons would let their mom go to prison. Like, it seemed odd. But I knew that Iyanla would help us unpack it. I knew she would ask those poignant questions. Well, we find out that, and Iyanla asked Matilda how many kids she had, and she told her 10. She asked her again, and she told her 10. She asked her a third time, 10? And Matilda said, yeah, 10. Wow, saying 10 kids. And we learned that her story is that her sons saw her struggling to raise these 10 children, and they sold drugs in order to help her with their siblings, their brothers and sisters. And when she tells this narrative, it is, wow, it's like, wow, you know what I'm saying? Like the government will punish her like this because, you know, like, yeah, you feel bad. I mean, first of all, she looks like a grandmother. You just feel bad. You feel like this is what happened. Same thing with Tae. Tae's telling her story kind of, I don't know. It really was more Brandy that was telling her story like it was more romantic. Tae was just naive to the fact that it didn't have to be that way. Like, you know, it just because she wouldn't talk, she wouldn't tell. Like, I don't know what they wanted her to tell, but whatever it was, she wasn't sharing. So, you know, she's kind of shocked. We don't really talk to Tae a lot, the youngest one, through this episode. We do get to see Iyanla start to sort of unpack things right there on the couch with the three of them there. And we do get to see Matilda get a little defensive when Iyanla says, "Are you guys ready?" And Matilda's like, "I don't know if I'm ready." She didn't like Iyanla kind of questioning the fact that she was okay with her son selling drugs to feed her other children. She didn't like Iyanla pushing at that. Okay, then we get to see when she's on her one-on-one with Iyanla, and she's talking about her mom. It's almost like she gets to this certain point in the narrative, and when it is not pretty, she pulls up. When she gets to that real, you know, that part that is not necessarily so favorable or not so romanticized, or you know, it's not the soft gushy part in the story where we just, you know, it reminds me of some things that Iyanla was saying about pretty stories. And I started thinking about the whole Tamar situation. And I realized Tamar was not upset with her truth being told because she was already telling it. Tamar was upset that what she was trying to do was stop Iyanla from unpacking. She stopped that. I think she shut it down because Iyanla was going to unpack it. And she didn't want it to be unpacked. And we're seeing the same thing in this Matilda lady. She doesn't want to unpack this. She's happy with the story that she is telling. She is happy with this narrative. She has told it for a long time. It is a story she can tell like the back of her hands. It is a story that garners her sympathy and empathy. Okay, it's a story that it tells of being an underdog and doing what you can to survive. And, you know, the narrative that she's telling almost puts her in a victim role. It is only until a little bit later we get to see that this narrative is not 100% accurate. This narrative has got a lot of fluff. It's got a lot of air. It's got a lot of lies and untruths that have allowed Matilda to make it seem like she's not necessarily at fault for anything that has happened. It makes her seem really kind of innocent. Okay? And I stand by this. I do think that this is the reason that Tamar got up and walked off. I don't think it has anything to do with Iyanla being inappropriate or saying something, telling the truth that she didn't want to be told. Tamar had already told it. I promise you they done signed off on those forms about disclosing and things like that. And she was already telling it. No, ma'am. She didn't want her to unpack it. She did not want her to start picking at that thing. Because for her to pick at it would expose others, but it would mostly expose her to whatever degree. Okay. And we see that with Matilda. We see a tension of it with Brandy. When Brandy is confronted with the question about how are you different if you would only date men who were drug dealers, who could buy you things, who could do things for you, how are you different than a prostitute? And Brandy isn't she isn't overly defensive, but she is just like, are you going too far? Is it me? Or are you going too far? Or like, will you just call me a hoe? And they kind of talk about it a little bit, you know, in a very communicable way where Brandy comes full circle. She isn't browbeaten into it. She understands it was an exchange of goods and services. It's that what the goods and services that he was bringing was monetary and material, and the goods and services that she brought to it was physical and service oriented. I cooked, I cleaned, I bared his child as well as had sex, and I wasn't going to do any of that if the man could not provide and give me everything that I needed, couldn't give me nice things. And she was used to it. Her dad did it. Her dad was a drug dealer. Okay, then we see Tae, and Tae is stuck. Tae is stuck. She's almost like in Jello. She's there. She's a part of it, but she has walled up herself, walled up her inner being. She's walled up. Okay, and she just listens. She just nods, and she's just waiting for class to be over. And when Iyanla just picks a little, she doesn't know how to answer. It's an honest answer. I don't know. How old were you when you realized? How old were you? How old were you when you gave up? How old were you? And she was like, I don't know, because she's put it out of her mind. Like, I'm not important. I need to stop thinking about it like that. That's not important. This is what she was taught. But then we hear her admit that she got accepted to a really good school. She wanted to be an obstetrician, but because her mom was a dope fiend, she knew she could manipulate her when she was high. She got her to sign over to put her back into another school where all her friends were. Okay, and she felt like there she was loved, there she was accepted. She wasn't at home. At home, it was drugs coming in and out, people coming in and out. I don't know what else went on there, but the young lady has a very, very, very thick wall up, and you know, she admits, you know, when she thinks about it and that method of closing your eyes and really just talking and shutting out that visual and sort of looking deep down introspectively and just letting those emotions come up, letting them happen instead of continue to wall them off, to brick that wall up, just letting them flow over the top and through the cracks. You can see that breaking in a person when they take a minute, they stop, they get quiet, they shut out those visual distractions and let that floodgate come. And Matilda as much as said so. When Iyanla was talking to Matilda about her mom, who was a teen mom, Matilda had her baby at 15. 2 days later, she turned 16. Her mother had her at 19, and she was in school to be a nurse, going to school to be a nurse, and she gave Matilda to her mother, Matilda's grandmother, when she was 3 days old. She didn't even breastfeed the girl. She had another daughter that she raised, Matilda's mother. She never raised Matilda. She never really claimed Matilda until the last day she died. She hollered Matilda's name out repeatedly. And Matilda had transferred that into being something that was a good thing. Like the last thing she said was my name. And Iyanla said, and when she said it, I was like, wait, I don't know. No, I didn't accept it when Iyanla said that's not necessarily a compliment. I was like, What? Why would you tell her that? That's like consolation for her. But the narrative that Matilda has been telling all this time has been her consolation. It is what has probably gotten her through jail. It is what has probably gotten her through this life. Okay? She needed to face the fact that maybe, to deal with the fact that her mom went through her whole life not claiming her and not dealing with her, except in these last moments when she called out her name. And Matilda said, well, we had a relationship. And so Iyanla said, okay, well, what was that like? And she said, well, it was, she stopped. Because when you're faced with telling actual facts and giving actual examples of what relationship is, what relationship looks like, you realize you have no stories. All that you have is the narrative that you've told yourself. And she said, I don't really want to talk about that. I don't really want to discuss that. When faced with the truth of the situation, this is what's actually going on. And this is what I'm saying about why you find some people who don't like Iyanla. Because, one, they don't understand what discernment is. And a lot of people poo-poo it, but I wouldn't. Okay? And a lot of people don't understand discernment, and a lot of people have their own baggage. And when you watch this show, you're either going to be a person that is freed in terms of being able to eat the meat, meaning take the protein, the healthy, that which gives you nourishment in life and feeds your spirit, and spit out the bones, that which does not apply, that which is not applicable to you. Okay? If you're a person that's able to do that, you can watch this show and you can learn a lot about yourself. You can learn a lot about others. You can learn a lot about not judging others. You can learn a lot about not labeling others, not labeling yourself, not dishonoring others, not dishonoring yourself, how to face the truth of a situation. We do a lot of that in today's society. We dress it up, we inject it, we make it wide and curvaceous and big and bubbly and beautiful, and it is just as rotten and full of maggots and putrefied infection deep down inside. But it's pretty though. Okay? A lot of people don't like it. They don't like it. They don't want it. And like my daddy say, until you get sick and tired of being sick and tired, you won't want it. You won't like it. All right. But let's move forward. So Iyanla brings them all back in, and like I said, at the time that it happened, she had a fake police officer come to the door and serve everybody with their charges. And these charges were pertaining to the guilt that one feels when one gets out of jail, the guilt towards your children or towards your family, the guilt that society puts on you, calling you a felon. You can't get a job. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you get out, it's a hard row to hoe. Okay, and these summons we're talking about, you've been sentenced to a life of guilt and a life of shame, and how you answer these charges. How do you retort when someone continues to bring up your past, continue to bring up those things you've already paid for, repented for, and turned and changed from? How do you do that? How do you explain yourself, not in terms of always making excuses, but how do you let people know I am different now and I want to be treated different now? Well, I will not let you label me this way. I will not let you make me feel bad. I am sorry. I apologize, but I will not be made to feel guilty and ashamed. And they each talk about some things that they do to make up for it. Things that are not necessarily helpful. Things that are more like enabling, right? Then we see where they come back and they all get together and talk. And then after that, Miss Mildred, we get to see some of the children, because we like to bring in other people to sort of break it up and sort of bring a little bit more clarity to things that either people didn't want to talk about or they have hidden. They have, that's the other thing that people do with this show. They say the things. When Miss Matilda came back after that second day, after they had been summoned, when she came back, she was ready for Iyanla. She was ready. She was ready with the right things to say. I got to change. I got to do better. She was ready because she felt like, I know what it is she want to hear, and I want to excel at this. I want to get this right. Like, this is the things I need to say. But it's not just about saying them. It's about something in you clicking. Okay? And she's kind of already had that click when she talked about her mom, and she talked about how that thing felt like it had washed over her. That's a releasing of a thing. When you feel that wash, oof. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh boy. But now when she comes back, she's sort of trying to fit in that mold, trying to be that, person. I got this now. I understand what you're saying. I think I got it. And this is what you want to hear, right? Well, Iyanla brings her daughter in. The daughter says, I'm such and such and such. And she said, now what number are you? She said, I'm number 11. And so Iyanla says 11. It's clear that Iyanla knew before that she had 12 children, which is why she asked her 3 times. 3? 10? You have 10 children. So there are 10 children. She gave her opportunity after opportunity to tell the truth. But this is her narrative. She has told it now for many, many years. All right? For her, it is the truth. She probably knew it was a lie when she first told it. It's probably some part of her somewhere that still knows that it's a lie. But I'm going to tell you, it's a big part of her that tells it like breathing. Okay? And she finds out, she said, well, I'm 11. And how many does she have? 12. Okay. So she's leaving out 2 children, just like her mama left her out. All right. And, how did it make you feel? It was really tough. When my mama first went in, she was a drug addict. She was on drugs. Wait. Miss Matilda's narrative is that she was a hard worker. She was doing everything she could to provide for her 10 children, and her sons sold drugs so they could help her with her siblings. And that's why she took the L for them, the bullet for them, and went to jail instead of them. And so now we learn that this grandmotherly looking figure, this narrative of being victim as well as innocent, pseudo innocent, in her mind, we learned that this is just one layer of the mask, and we just have to keep peeling and peeling and peeling until we get down to where the infection is. Honestly, this is going to be part 2. I enjoyed this episode. I hope you guys see value in what I'm telling you in terms of Tamar and just the things that people will do to continue on in the vein that they're in, to continue on with the narrative that they've told. It's a narrative that they're familiar with, they're comfortable with, they know it like the back of their hands, and they will fight to the death to keep that narrative. It is only until they are faced, their back is against the wall, or everything implodes, or they are exposed, that, or they sick and tired of it, that they begin to reveal the truth. What I love the most about this show is that they tell us a little bit about what's going on with the person after the show. Iyanla used to be on a show, 2nd and 3rd season. There were 3 seasons of this show called Starting Over, and I've talked about it before. It was a wonderful show. Well, the women stayed in the house for like 30 days or so. And they lived in the home together. They did exercises every day. They individually had their exercises and collectively had their exercises. I would love to see something like that with Iyanla again, especially when it comes to this setup, this scenario that we have here with 3 women who have been incarcerated together, 3 women of a different demographic, and that type of thing. I think the show is done over a process of 4 days or an entire day or something. But I'd like to see us get back to that format. I think that format had a lot of benefit, and it was a lot easier for people to begin relaxing and telling the truth, and because they have 30 days of being confronted with it. So, you know, that's just my 2 cents in this. I won't have any of this bashing of Iyanla. I don't have anything negative to say about Iyanla. I think what she does has value. You just have to be a person that's ready to accept that. You have to be a person that's ready to turn and change. You find a lot of people who will sit and who will act like they getting it, they got it, they do the work, they do this jargon, say what you want them to say or what you want, they think you want to hear. And then we read at the end that, you know, things are the same. You know, people have different reasons why they act as though they get it, but they don't. And I'm going to tell you something. Doing what's right, doing what's good, doing what's fruitful is very difficult. It is so easy to continue on doing that which is already in place. It doesn't require a lot of energy. It doesn't. To continue doing what you've always been doing, it doesn't. There is a pruning process that happens when you begin to unpack the stinking stuff. You know what I mean by pruning? You know what I'm saying? To get your bonsai tree to be fat, to be juicy, you must prune back, cut away, cut into shape and form. A lot of people reject that. Okay, because it is a painful process. Okay, but you can't get olive oil, without pressing the olives out, can you? All right, you guys, y'all tell me what y'all think of this episode. I can't wait for part 2. That's next week. I hope I didn't hold you guys too long, but I wanted to kind of roll this whole Tamar thing in and talk a little bit about Iyanla. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think. Put it down below. Until next time, honeybees. Mwah, mwah, mwah. I'll holla. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe, you guys. Bye-bye.